So you went from a place where people were dying right in front of you.
Yep.
Now you're helping people.
It's the best feeling. Like, I love what I do. Honestly, Big Pharma, they can't make money from testosterone.
The irregularities in hormones are much greater than they were in the past, and why?
They are. 100% they are.
Welcome back to an episode of the Intrepidus Podcast, episode number 14 with your hosts, Dan and Anthony. Today we have special guest, Nicole Waterhouse with Alpha Health. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on the show. Our second woman to ever be on the show, a successful businesswoman. Tell us a little bit about your business.
I own a hormone optimization clinic. It's a preventative medicine practice, and we mostly take care of weight loss and hormone replacement for men and women.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about how you got into it.
So my background is in emergency medicine, and I've done that for about 18 years. Kind of followed the conventional medicine role. And I'd say around COVID, we started to realize that things, our systems kind of flawed, right, by our reactive medicine protocols. So prevention is kind of the way to go. We try to prevent illnesses from happening before they do. So we do things like balanced hormones and help decrease weight through weight loss, medically assisted weight loss. And that helps to prevent a lot of the chronic illness states that we see in the hospital.
So what could some people do on their own aside from, at what point do they come to you, right? Because they probably have tried some things in the past, maybe most likely unsuccessfully. Do most of those people try things that are just inadequate for their goals, or have you just been given the wrong direction?
I think it's a mix. It's both. A lot of us know what to do, but we don't really do the right things, right? So at Alpha Health, we keep track of our clients through regularly scheduled lab work, and we do follow-up calls. We have nurses that follow up once a week, review their journaling, their food tests, what types of food they may be eating, as well as their exercise. They go over that with them too.
So a question for you. A lot of people that are on TRT and do this, they're always like getting better, they're getting more in shape, their body's starting to move better because you kind of like bringing yourself back, making yourself younger, bringing back what you're missing. And then they always get taught, oh, this guy's on steroids. What's this guy doing? Maybe you can help the audience understand if this individual was 20 years old and they focused on their health then, they're still going to lose it as they get older. So all they're really doing is putting themselves in a position to win. And why is their body changing? And why do people feel that they can insult somebody like that?
I'm not sure why people feel that they can insult people. Testosterone is a naturally occurring hormone in both men and female bodies, right? And the benefits are, you can't even name how many benefits testosterone does for both sexes. I think it has this negative connotation, testosterone itself, right? People think of it in a negative light, juicers or juice head, exactly, cheating for sure. Unfortunately, as we age and, men after the age of 30, they're decreasing in testosterone every year, right? Every single year. So that vitality, the drive, the focus, the energy, people think testosterone and what do they think? They think of muscles, right? The huge jacked guys or sex, right? Erections. That's what people think. Those two things. But testosterone itself is, it improves your mental health first. That's the first things our clients see. So many men, we've been able to get off their antidepressants once their hormones are stabilized. So once their testosterone is at an optimal level, a lot of these guys, they don't need their SSRIs. They feel better. They have drive. They have focus. They have an improved libido. The relationships tend to get better. So unfortunately, it has had a negative connotation with the name testosterone and steroids, but hopefully it's changing. I think a lot of people, their eyes are opening to TRT. TRT itself stands for testosterone replacement therapy. We're replacing your natural testosterone. So we're replacing it to levels, optimal levels, but natural levels that maybe they were when you were 30 years old. But now you may come in and be 55, you don't feel well, you have no drive, no focus, no energy, loss of muscle mass, erectile dysfunction, softer erections, your relationships are not doing well. And then we check their levels, these guys, and their levels are low. So we replace it.
Why are a lot of TRT clinics and individuals like you private practice, and why isn't being so publicized by the big medical world?
Interesting. So part of this is because testosterone itself is a hormone. It's not something that can be labeled and sold as like a pharmaceutical. So honestly, big pharma, they can't make money from testosterone. So they're not promoting testosterone replacement because they can make money and everything's about money, right?
He takes people off antidepressants and they don't want that, right?
There you go.
So so is there a lifespan, or is it safe to run TRT indefinitely?
Yes, 100%. I have many clients that are in their 80s and 90 years old.
Really?
Yes.
So why do people, again, negative connotation, they always have this bad view of replacing your testosterone for long periods of time,
Right.
because some kind of health deficiency that may occur. And why is that?
A lot of the earlier studies from, the early 2000s, they weren't well done studies. To be honest with you, the grading level of those like medical studies wasn't a high grade. Like the highest grade of medical research right now is like a meta-analysis, right? And that's when they take many various studies and they, look at them against one another. Back in the day, they used to think that testosterone actually caused cardiovascular disease. And all the newest research actually shows and proves that it prevents cardiovascular disease. So testosterone in men aromatizes into estradiol. Estradiol prevents cardiovascular disease, plaque buildup. It also prevents Alzheimer's disease, cognitive dysfunction. And, we want to keep our arteries nice and clean with no plaque buildup. Testosterone helps to do that.
So a lot of the negative is because people are uneducated.
Exactly.
Less than everybody else.
Yep.
It's like a food pyramid, right? It's not mirroring.
But it's like the last
whole bunch of nutrition forever, but we all know that's a crock of shit.
Exactly.
It's like everyone hated Trump. They don't even know why they hate him, because their neighbor here. So how long you been in business?
4.5 years.
So you went from an employee to a business owner, and our podcast is based on fear. What fears did you have taking that step, going from that employee mindset, that employee lifestyle, to becoming a business owner? And did something hold you back that you should have done it sooner or whatnot?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I think I have fear every day, right? And being a business owner, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, you always worry that something's going to happen or something's going to change. Or, there are so many roadblocks along the way. Initially going from a W-2 employee working at a hospital full time, I realized working every other weekend, missing holidays with my kids wasn't something I wanted to do forever. And if I continued the lifestyle I was in, making someone else money, working at a hospital, working weekends and holidays, that's what I would be doing till I retire, right? And that's how many more years? I'm 43 years old. I don't want to work for another 20 years that way, right? I looked at my daughter when she was 5 at the time, and I said, wow, I missed so much of your life. So I said, what can I do? I've always loved exercise and health and nutrition and working out. I was a personal trainer in college initially when I was in school, pre-med. And, you see that people feel better, look better, their energy levels are better, their mood's better when they're exercising and they're eating right. So we really should be promoting these prevention things, these things that will help people in every way and prevent these chronic disease states, I think. As far as the fear goes, going back to that, I think initially it was everything. No one teaches you in medicine. You think you're going to work for a hospital your whole life. You don't know anything about business, right? Starting a business, just starting an LLC, just these simple things. No one tells you. You have to meet with, in my case, since it's a medical practice, meeting with, malpractice attorneys and lawyers and what can you do, what can't you do, making sure like my DEA license, everything, controlled substances, be able to prescribe controlled substances. There are a lot of layers that we have to go through. And initially also business-wise, you make so many mistakes, right? You lose money and, you know, you only learn from your mistakes and it makes you better though.
So you left your job because you wanted to spend more time with your kids and not mix weekends. But now, being a business owner, I know you're working 80 hours a week. Exactly. How are you balancing that? And now the struggle of having the beginning of that business, there's like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to be a business owner. I can do what I want when I want. Once that reality hit now, how are you feeling about that?
Yeah. So I do have to say, I wouldn't change a thing unless it was maybe starting my company or sooner, but I wouldn't change it. I still do get to, for the most part, I have the freedom to make my own schedule. So if I want to go to my son's soccer games, I make sure, my practice manager has the phone. She answers the calls during that time. So there's certain things. I travel, I go to a lot of conferences and, for business growth and as well as medical conferences. Frequently I'm traveling and, I just work more when I'm here, or I have other providers now that work for me as well. So it helps to delegate tasks, of course. And I think as business owners, many of us are this type A personality, right? We want to do everything. We're control freaks, right? And the hardest thing is trying to figure out like delegating tasks, because no one is going to do something 100% the way you do it. No one will. But you have to be okay and have the right people beneath you, or not beneath you, next to you, I should say. I won't ever say beneath you, because we need, the person who cleans my office just as much as they need me, as much as I need my practice manager. And I have to say, finding my practice manager, she was the best thing that happened to me. And she's been working for 2 years for me. She's like my right-hand man. She knows my schedule. She brings me down when I'm up here with all my ideas, So we complement one another, our personalities, and we work very well together.
Hey guys, quick interruption to the show. Please don't forget to follow us and like us.
You can find us on Spotify and YouTube. Hit that like button. We appreciate the algorithm. Thanks, guys.
Love you guys.
So actually, you said something before about when you started. No one teaches us just these things that we need to know, like starting an LLC, even doing taxes.
Right.
And I think much like our education system, much like our nutritional guidance system, our FDA has let us down in a number of ways. But aside from that, when did you actually take the plunge, right? When did you just wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm done with this hospital. I want to go to my daughter's birthday parties. I'm done. Or did someone guide you in that direction? Like, how did you get here?
Okay. Yeah. Great question. For myself, COVID was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back in my instance. It definitely, I was working in the emergency department when it first hit. Our first COVID patients in March of 2020. And we didn't have masks. No one knew what it was. We were like, no, it's not here. It's not in the USA. Oh, it's in Italy at that point. Italy was running rampant. But the first patients that I saw, I was working as a nurse practitioner in the triage area. And these people that were coming in, they were young people and they were ill, very sick. And they all had been traveling recently, like for work. They were like business people, but young people. And I saw them on a Tuesday. We sent them home with like inhalers, they all had upper respiratory symptoms. And then by Friday, a lot of them are coming back, super sick, oxygen levels in the dumpster. Like and then we didn't know how to treat it, right? We were intubating all of them. If I had to tell you how many young people's eyes I'd looked into that have said, don't let me die. And we knew they were going to die. And everyone died. A lot of people died. And it was horrible. I had PTSD from it. I couldn't go to work. I was fearful to go to work. My parents, I had young kids. The schools were closed. I didn't want my parents to come over and watch our kids, because what if we had it and we gave it to them? It was crazy. And I had so much anxiety just going into work. And I said, I can't do this. Like, you don't think going into medicine that you could die doing your job. I mean, we save lives. We're healers, right? You don't think you could possibly die. So for me, that was the thing that I was like, I can't do this anymore. Along with the not having enough time with my family. But if that horrible thing didn't happen to me, I wouldn't have probably taken the job to open my own practice and do that.
So what was the first step then? You just said,
Right.
Alpha Health, I'm going to do men's health. And I know we're going to get into, that slowly transitions into a very broader spectrum of male and female.
Yeah.
Kind of geared more towards female now just because of the clientele that came in. But how do you come up with the name and the desire to do exactly what you're doing? And what was the first foot in the door? Did you get the LLC or you talk to somebody?
A mentor. So I was online, like looking up something, and I found this thing called the Elite Nurse Practitioner. This guy, Justin Montgomery, he had a few clinics, and he literally had training programs that's what medical providers, nurse practitioners. It was aimed for nurse practitioners how to start. So from everything, from starting an LLC, in every way where to go, websites to go, why own LLC, how to do it, how to structure it. Like, it was great. And, phone calls with him, he was kind of my beginning mentor. And that's what did it for me. And then I'm like, oh, if they could do it, I could do it. And then things just start pulling into place. I think your life, it's like everything in life that happens to you puts you in this space. Like, why are you here right now? Everything, it's like a pinnacle. This is where I am because of all these life things, mistakes, and this road, all these paths. And then here you are at a crossroad. And it's like, for me, it just started unraveling, like not unraveling in a good way, snowballing, I should say. I had started the LLC in September of 21, I guess. And still getting things together, wallpapering, putting everything together. We hadn't seen, and the first time we saw a client was January of 2022, I guess, then. And I was in a doctor's office, and the nurse came in and heard me on the phone and said, oh, it's a plastic surgeon's office. I was getting Botox, actually. And she was like, oh, I need weight loss. That person, began coming to me as a client. And then before I knew it, everyone in their office, I was treating everyone in the office. And then so much so that the plastic surgeon and I made a deal. A lot of clients that see him for tummy tucks, he would like them to lose, say, 20 pounds prior to their surgery to get to their optimal weight goal. So he would send them to me. And that's like you acquire people, you meet people. And like you meet people, and those people become these like chess pieces that help you to get a little bit further, and you help them, right? You transfer that energy.
So you went from a place where people were dying right in front of you.
Yep.
And then saying, don't help me die. Now you're helping people.
Live.
And what happens when you see these transitions of people from where they are to a few months later, and how grateful they are? Like, how much different is that from where you come from?
It's the best thing. It's the best feeling. Like, I love what I do. And it's so true that they say, if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. I don't work. I feel as if I don't work. I love what I do. I literally save lives. I mean, I used to save lives in a different way. And now I really help people live their life, right? And, these people come to me. I love optimizing couples together. So like I'll have a male and a female client, new clients start. And they're just tough. They're in a really tough spot. A lot of women, it's the same story. Over 30 years old, they can't lose weight the way they were able to prior, whatever, mood swings. They're exercising, but they're unable to, they just don't feel well. Their body composition is off as it had been when they were young. They were able to ease weight a lot quicker, say. But I think helping these people, when they see me, I treat them through lifestyle modifications, supplements. We use supplements, lifestyle modifications, nutrition, we go over diet. Now we work with health coaches also that help our clients together, and we prescribe medications. We go over the lab results first. Where's their dysfunction? Are they pre-diabetic? Do they have a thyroid that's not working optimally? How are their sex hormones? And then we optimize everything. And we do lab work at 8 weeks after starting our program. And so many people, their energy levels up. They feel great. Their libido's back. The relationship's so much better. And as time progresses, it only gets better because that body composition, they're working out. They have the confidence, and they are so grateful. Most of our clients are word of mouth. We don't market much. We treat neighbors and cousins and uncles and brothers and sisters. Everyone in the family. And to me, that's That's the amazing part, you know?
Feels like an extension of your family.
Yeah.
Almost.
Is
That's a beautiful thing.
Is it difficult to know what to give people?
No.
How did you learn all that?
So my background is family, like I'm a family nurse practitioner. So I treat cradle to grave. That's my age range. No one teaches this though. No one teaches these hormones, right? You have to go to multiple certification programs. So I'm trained through WorldLink Medical. There's a guy by the name, a guru, amazing. He's been doing it since the 80s, Neil Ruzzi, and he owns WorldLink Medical. And it's this amazing program. It's about a 6-month certification program, and you go to these, conferences basically, and you learn everything through him. So through him, Dr. Morgenthaler, he's a urologist from Harvard. So I went to a certification for testosterone replacement therapy through him at Harvard last year. And just by going to different conferences, different groups, there isn't a lot of data on this stuff because it's fairly new. Right? But the data that we do have, the positive impact that hormone replacement therapy has for men and women, it's amazing. And I really think this is only just the beginning. This is where it's going, and this is where it's at. Everyone is into prevention, into longevity, into the anti-aging space, biohacking. So
Do you think that today the irregularities in hormones are much greater than they were in the past, and why?
they are 100%. They are. There are many. It's multifactorial, I think. For the most part, let's just say testosterone because it's easy. So think about testosterone. Men had higher testosterone levels in the year 2000 than they do now, the same age men. For example, I test a lot of men now in their 20s, and their total testosterone levels are in the 300s, 200s, 300s. My grandfather, he passed away 3 years ago, but I had tested his testosterone before he passed. He was 82 years old, and his testosterone level was 1,500.
Naturally,
Yes.
as a freak major.
He's not. Most older men will be a lot higher. And it's just, unfortunately, it's the foods that we eat that are pumped full of hormones, endocrine disruptors, the electromagnetic fields that we're constantly going through, the foods we're eating, the lifestyle, There's this book I read. It's called The Comfort Crisis. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but basically it's just, we're too comfortable. We don't move our bodies enough. We don't do manual labor, right? So these things are really affecting our hormones, right? So the inactivity, testosterone, the things that lower testosterone, not enough sleep, no exercise, no strength training, and, no sex. So think about it now. Think about the younger generation, 20-year-olds. They're sitting in front of their TV, right? Everything's instant gratification. They're playing video games, right? They're not eating well. They don't have to meet anyone to go on a date. There's porn, porn like addiction is rampant. So that's going to lower your testosterone level. All of those things are going to lower it.
I have no scientific evidence to prove this whatsoever, but I'm a firm believer that TikTok is a big reason that men's testosterone is very low.
For sure. Social media in general is one of the worst things.
But you did just say something about sleep.
Yeah.
Has he talked about sleep for a second?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the intake questions was, what keeps you up at night? And your response was probably the funniest one I've read so far, which is, I sleep like a baby because of progesterone. DJ.
CJC from around.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So, sleep, right? Everyone, there are so many reasons why people have issues sleeping, right? They could be stressed. They could be, they drink too much caffeine. Honestly, screen time, right? People, you shouldn't really be using your screens an hour before going to sleep. It's just going to keep your brain wired. Also, a lot of people have adrenal dysfunction. So, okay, cortisol and melatonin, those are two hormones. They have hundreds and hundreds of hormones in our body, but cortisol and melatonin, they're inversely related. So at night, before you go to sleep, melatonin should be its highest and cortisol its lowest, okay? Cortisol is our flight or fight response. It spikes when we're under stress. So, mental stress, emotional stress, but body stress also. So people who are, pushing their bodies, like doing CrossFit every day, different things that can spike your cortisol also. But at night, so cortisol should be its lowest, melatonin should be its highest. And then in the morning, it's the opposite. Melatonin should be its lowest, and then your cortisol half an hour after awakening and should be its highest. And it should kind of decrease like the other half of a bell curve throughout the day. A lot of people are just stressed and overly worked, and they have their cortisol levels, or they'll be all over the place throughout the day, and that's why they can't sleep at night. So melatonin helps. Melatonin helps people sleep. For many women, as we age, our progesterone level declines. That's one of the first things we see in women. So even as early as 30 years old, some younger, depending if they have issues like PCOS or other hormonal issues. Sometimes women don't ovulate and their progesterone, estradiol levels are all over the place. We see frequently a low progesterone level in women, and progesterone helps with sleep. Progesterone is the best for women that have a low progesterone level. Giving bioidentical hormone replacement, micronized oral progesterone, you sleep like a baby.
Can men take it?
Literally, no.
Okay, I didn't think so.
It's not something that should take. But there are other things. The reason why progesterone helps women sleep, so I don't want to go too deep into it right now, but there's a lot. For men, you can, pregnenolone also aromatizes into allopregnanolone, which is another byproduct, and it helps people feel calm and rest and sleep at night. Also,
Is there these things that is sorry, cut you off. Are these things that you could actually test for if someone has problem? I know I had trouble sleeping, and I know this guy just never sleeps by choice. But I have trouble going and falling, staying asleep. If I came in, would you be able to test certain things and that prescribe based on those results to help me sleep better?
yes.
Got baseball back to the back of the head, please.
Come over and help me.
So you just went through a big weight loss journey.
I did.
So maybe you want to share that.
Sure. For myself, I lost about 80 pounds. This was 3.5 years ago. I had gained a whole bunch of weight when I was pregnant with my son, my second child. I gained like 90 pounds, I think. I unfortunately developed gestational asthma at the time, and I was hospitalized twice for low oxygen levels. So they placed me on prednisone, which is a pretty strong steroid. It also, people tend to gain weight. They don't eat as well. Develop like insulin resistance with that kind of thing. So I gained a bunch of weight at the time. After I gave birth, I still continued to not eat well. Continued to eat processed junk food, fast food. And I wasn't exercising much either. When I began to finally try to lose weight, I just couldn't. I couldn't lose the weight. I would literally be eating like 700 calories a day, and I was not losing weight. I then had my hormones checked. So I had all of my hormones checked at that time, and I was insulin resistant, pre-diabetic. I have thyroid dysfunction, so low functioning thyroid, what's your thyroid metabolism, right? And my sex hormones were low. Once I optimized those, began eating for the most part clean. When I say clean, I mean shopping, eating less processed foods, processed carbohydrates. I shop on the perimeter of the grocery store, and if one of the a rule that I try to follow when I can, if it wasn't birthed or grown, stay away from it.
So did you start your journey prior to your business or after your business?
After. I had been working, I hadn't opened my business yet. I had been working at another TRT clinic prior when I was tested for everything. And once I began hormone optimization and weight loss, the use of ELP-1 to lose weight also, with diet, and I always want to emphasize, with proper diet and exercise. I mean, it's not just take a shot and you're going to get skinny and look great, right? You have to put in the work. All of these things are just tools, and we help you to develop this toolbox based on everyone's personalized goals and needs.
So this probably helped you more so want to do what you're doing because you saw what was wrong with you. You made a change. You saw the change. You adapted the change, right?
Yeah.
And so now you understand what can happen and what's possible. Now helping somebody else.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It's great. Yeah, so let's talk about women's health. We talked a lot about TRT.
Yeah.
And, you said the sex hormone is something I'm most interested in because I know a lot of your audiences are married, particularly men. They have wives. And, they might be asking the question, well, my wife's sex drive is gone.
Yep.
Um, is this a common request for people to come in and ask about?
Yeah.
And, how do you approach that?
Perfect. Thanks. Yeah. This is probably for women, number one, weight loss is the main complaint, usually. Number two, libido. So libido is a big one, whether possibly their husband is on TRT, is optimized, or just has a naturally stronger libido. And they come to me and say, oh, my libido was great 5 years ago, and now I have no desire whatsoever. So, for women, we really want to balance all of our hormones to an optimal level of what they were in their younger years. So we have to balance estradiol, progesterone, and testosterone, right? And maybe, and look at the thyroid, men and women, we have to look at the thyroid as well. But libido, all these hormones have a lot to do with libido. For women, people don't think of testosterone, but women also have testosterone in their bodies, and it's important. We utilize TRT for a lot of our women as well. Most of our women are on TRT.
So a woman takes a shot too.
We could use compounded cream or injectable. Yeah, same as men. So men can use compounded cream or injectable, the same as women, depending on their symptoms and what they want. We could trial it. So some women, if people are adverse to needles, if they're needle phobic, we could start with the compounded cream, maybe see how it goes for them. We repeat the labs in 8 weeks. How do you feel? Number one, how do you feel? Let's not even think of numbers. How does the patient feel? That's it. How do you feel? That's number one. And we look at your numbers and we just make sure, okay, you feel great here. Okay, you're a little low. Let's bump you a little bit. Okay, we retest again. How do you feel now? Oh, I felt better back there. Okay, let's bring you back down. It's really a personalized thing. Every dose is different for everyone, and every person responds differently. I have guys that feel fantastic with the testosterone level at 600. They feel great. They feel great there. We tried to increase it. They don't feel as good. Great.
What level should a male be at?
Everyone is different, but total doesn't matter. Total means nothing. So people look at total testosterone. They think that's everything, the total T. It doesn't matter because total testosterone, you're looking at bound up testosterone as well as free testosterone. So that's testosterone that's bound to SHBG, which is sex hormone binding globulin, and to albumin. So it's bound to those two things, mostly SHBG. We want to do a calculation to figure out what your free testosterone level is. And free testosterone is going to tell me the usable testosterone in your body. And that's what matters most, really. And that's what I use as a reference range to see how are my guys feeling. Most men I find feel their best with a free testosterone level of between like 20 and 35. Yeah, nanograms.
You have a very intense business, I think, because you're responsible. You tell someone something, you're responsible for that change because you're telling them I can do this. So I just had knee surgery and the doctor's like, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to change your ear. It'll be straight. I'm going to straighten your leg. And I held him accountable to that, And being a doctor, you really have a lot of people who can become disappointed. But you said diet's important. Some people don't follow the rules. So what happens with those people who don't follow the rules?
Okay, here we go. That's a great question because there are a lot of people that want the easy way. They think we're going to just take a shot and that's it. The weight's going to fall right off of me, right? But it's work. And for me in my clinic, I did now prescribing this, 4 years. And with the GLP-1s, the weight loss medication, I tell my clients, it is non-negotiable. You have to strength train and you have to eat the recommended amount of protein. Because with these GLP-1s, these medications, you're decreasing your caloric intake. And if you're not lifting weights and eating protein, which we know muscle is the longevity organ, literally the anti-aging organ is muscle. We need more muscle. Muscle decreases insulin resistance, right? Literally, it's the most important thing. When people take GLP-1s and they don't eat protein and strength train to at least save the muscle that they have, they're going to muscle waste. And what happens is your body doesn't say, hey, I'm going to take fat only and I'm going to leave the muscle, leave the good stuff. No, you lose weight, you're going to muscle waste, you're going to lose muscle. And then possibly people will be more metabolically unfit after taking the medication because they have less muscle now. And if they gain weight again, they don't have the muscle, right? The more muscle you have, you're going to increase your basal metabolic rate. So someone who's 150 pounds that has more muscle compared to someone who's 150 pounds with more subcutaneous tissue, fat tissue, they're going to burn like 2 times the amount of calories at rest per day, the person who has more muscle. So you want to keep your muscle, and even we want to grow muscle, right? That's our goal. So a lot of people, we make sure, lift weights, non-negotiable. You have to lift weights and eat protein if you're on these medications. You have to.
Well, information. Yeah, for sure. So if there are people listening and like, who is your target audience, right? So if there's someone listening and they're like, well, I have this problem. What are some common problems that people come to you with that maybe someone's listening and they say, oh shit, I can't sleep, or yeah, I'm getting tired at 2:00 in the afternoon, or yeah, my wife hates me for no reason. What are some things that people should look out for, them red flags that they should pick up the phone, call Nicole?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't feel like yourself, the best version of yourself, come see me and I will fix that for you. Anything. It could be anything from moods, mood lability, so moods that are up and down. For women, hot flashes, night sweats, all the things when you think of like menopausal symptoms, irregular periods, inability to lose weight. If your temperature is off, like if you're cold all the time, that could be a symptom of thyroid dysfunction. If you're, have no libido, if you have vaginal dryness, if you, aren't happy at all, if you're depressed, if you're anxious, all of these people should turn to see us.
So I think a lot of people, including myself and probably you as well, Dan, is like we discount these things as just a product of being older.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be that way if I'm doing this right.
Correct. You could feel better in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and onward than you did in your 20s. Yeah.
So with that being said, the audience has obviously got questions. They're going to want to reach out to you. Where can they find you?
Fantastic. So you can call us at 770-462-5742. You can even text us on that number. So that is our office line. You can find us online at njalphahealth.com. And we're on Instagram as well.
Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Don't forget to like us and share us on YouTube, Facebook, and Spotify. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Thanks.